Surface preparation is key to great success when you're working with epoxy. Surface preparation should revolve around a number of small, easy to remember parameters. Surfaces should be clean, surfaces should be dry, surfaces should be well abraded. Now, if we look typically at some kind of techniques that are very, very important with modern boat building, joint and surface preparation is very important here. Here you see we have a scarf joint, and if I take this scarf joint and I sight it against the light, you might be able to see that there is just some burnishing from the action of the plane. Now, it's very, very important to just break that glazed surface by sanding. Well, why do we do that? Well, actually what we want here is for our epoxy to penetrate into the end grain as much as we can, and we can enhance that by sanding the surface. Surface prep is very, very important for oily woods. When we're talking about teak, which contains a lot of oil, then we would certainly want to clean that surface oil with acetone with a clean paper towel, dry it out before we either coat or bond the teak. Sandpaper is an important thing to consider. Always purchase good quality grit paper or abrasive paper. We generally recommend for strong, robust epoxy joints, 80 grit paper is the one to buy. And buy a good brand. Don't buy a cheap brand. If you buy a cheap brand of grit paper, it will leave lots of contamination, lots of grit on the surface of your work. And remember, we want this to be clean, dry and well abraded. So I'm just going to sand this little area here, and hopefully you'll be able to see exactly what I'm doing, and I'm breaking the glaze that is caused by the action of planing. Notice I haven't gone right up to the edges because we want a really fine edge here for a scarf joint. It's important that you just sand just slightly shy of the edges. Now, if I just use a brush to dust this off, and of course we don't want any dust left on here because again it will contaminate and compromise the joint. Perhaps if you're working in a boatyard, you may be tempted to use an airline to blow this off. Well, actually an airline is not a good idea because the airline will contain lots of contamination and again could compromise the glue joint. But we can see here that already we've actually broken the glaze on the surface of our scarf joint. And what this will do, it will allow the epoxy to really penetrate into all this end grain and provide a really, really robust joint. Really best practice.